Let's take a tour of the human digestive system. In food processing, there are 4 stages. We have ingestion, which is eating, food entering the digestive system. Then we have digestion, which comes in 2 forms. There's mechanical digestion, which is a physical breakdown of food into a more uniform texture. It involves crushing with teeth and muscular manipulation as well, but it's digestion on a larger scale. And then we have chemical digestion, which is molecular digestion. This is where polymers are broken down into monomers. After digestion, there is absorption, which are the nutrients coming from the digestive food actually entering into our bloodstream and entering into our body. And then finally, there is elimination. And this is of the material that wasn't digested and is not going to be used for the body's nutrients or building materials. So let's take a brief tour of the human digestive system. The human digestive system consists of a digestive tube, that makes up the path that food follows while being processed. In addition to this digestive tube, there are accessory organs that secrete digestive chemicals into the digestive tube. And so a brief diagram of the organs and components of the digestive system. We have the mouth, and that leads to the throat. That then continues down the esophagus to the stomach, and then the small and large intestine, and then the waste material is eliminated from the body. Accessory organs include our salivary glands, our liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. So let's continue on this tour. It starts at the mouth, or oral cavity, and the main functions of the mouth is that it functions in ingestion, bringing food into our digestive system, and also the preliminary steps of digestion. Now, this is mostly mechanical digestion with the chewing of the teeth, but there will be some digestive enzymes in the saliva that may start some molecular digestion processes as well. The mouth leads to the pharynx, or the throat, and the pharynx has the connection both to the esophagus and the trachea. Now, the esophagus leads to the stomach, and that is the next destination for food that is being swallowed, whereas the trachea leads to the lungs, and that's where air should go when we're breathing. Now, while we are swallowing food, there is a reflex that tips a structure known as the epiglottis. To cover the trachea so that the food and drink go down towards our stomach. And this is the structure that doesn't work if you've ever had food or drink go down the wrong pipe. In this case, the wrong pipe is leading to the lungs, and that will usually cause coughing in attempts to clear the airways. And so the esophagus is the right pipe for food and drink, whereas the trachea is the right pipe for air. As we continue on this tour, the esophagus is a long muscular tube, and it connects the pharynx to the stomach. Food moves down the esophagus by means of a smooth muscular contraction known as peristalsis. And this peristalsis, once it's been triggered, it is involuntary. It means it just happens. You can't think about it, you can't control it once the process has begun. And from this point on, the movement of material through the digestive system is primarily involuntary. After the esophagus, the next step is the stomach. The stomach is probably one of the most misunderstood of all of the structures of the digestive system. The stomach is primarily a place of mechanical digestion. It can also store food for several hours. The acid is there to start a physical process of breaking down the food, and there will be a little bit of chemical digestion, but it's mostly a site of mechanical digestion. Also, one of the big functions of the stomach is to store food without spoilage or without bacteria growing. The stomach contains gastric juice, made of a strong acid, a few digestive enzymes, and mucus. The stomach churns food into a thick soupy mix called acid chyme. And as I had mentioned, the stomach is primarily a site of mechanical digestion. Another thing that's often misunderstood about the digestive system is a specific ailment of the stomach known as gastric ulcers. Now, gastric ulcers are erosions of the stomach lining. If you ask a lot of people what they think causes gastric ulcers, they might say, oh, well, a lot of stress, or maybe drinking too much coffee or eating too much spicy food. While those things might aggravate an ulcer, they are not the cause of the ulcer. Ulcers are caused by a bacterial infection, caused by a bacterium named Helicobacter pylori. So if you or someone you know is dealing with ulcers, don't just think, oh, well, I'll take it easy at work, or I'll have a vacation coming up, I'll stop drinking coffee. Those things might be beneficial to the symptoms, but they aren't addressing the cause. The cause is a bacterial infection, and you need to go to the doctor to get an antibiotic to kill that bacterium. H. pylori infections, if they're left untreated, can move from the stomach into the smaller large intestines and cause much more serious, even potentially permanent damage there. So it's important not to just ignore the symptoms of an ulcer or think that once you calm down, things will go away. The next step in the tour of the human digestive system is the small intestines. The small intestines is the longest part of the digestive system. It is the major organ both for chemical digestion as well as absorption of nutrients. It is here in the small intestine that digestive enzymes break polymers from your food down into monomers. Now, most of those digestive enzymes came from the pancreas. So here at the first part of the small intestines, known as the duodenum, you're going to get materials added from the stomach, from the pancreas, and from the liver and gallbladder. So the pancreas secretes juice into the top of the small intestine, and that neutralizes the stomach acids. From the stomach onward, the pH of the digestive system is actually above 7. It becomes slightly basic, whereas it was very acidic in the stomach, with a pH of around 1 or 2 thereabouts. Neutralizing that acid is one of the jobs of the pancreas, also supplying the digestive enzymes that break the polymers in the food down into monomers. That's another important role of the pancreas. And this is why the pancreas is so essential, and it can't simply be replaced or ignored. It is a vital organ of our digestive system. Next, we have the liver. The liver secretes bile, which helps to digest fats. Bile is able to break large droplets of fats and other hydrophobic molecules into much smaller droplets. This increases the surface area on which the enzymes, which are hydrophilic, are able to work to break down the lipids. So the enzymes can only work on the surface of the drops of oil, and so bile is there as an emulsifier. And in our lab activity, we got to see other emulsifiers as well, such as mustard powder or egg yolks. Now in this case, bile, it breaks up the oil into small little droplets to allow for those oil droplets to be digested. Now, although the food has been ingested, it is not technically in the body yet until those nutrients have been absorbed. Much like a finger can pass through a donut and not be in the donut, the nutrients must be absorbed. This absorption happens in the inner lining of the intestinal wall. There are these projections known as villi and microvilli, which provide a large surface area for absorption. And it's remarkable, these little projections, these villi and microvilli on the wall of the intestines, they have a surface area equal to that of a tennis court. The last structure in our tour of the human digestive system is the large intestine. The large intestine is shorter, but wider than the small intestine, and it is made up of three structures. The colon, which makes up most of the length of the large intestine. One of the main jobs of the colon is to absorb water from the alimentary canal, and this solidifies the waste material into feces, which can be expelled from the body. The last 15 centimeters or 6 inches or so of the large intestine is known as the rectum. It has thicker muscular walls than the rest of the large intestine. And then lastly, the anus regulates the opening of the rectum, allowing waste to be expelled from the digestive system. And so just as a quick recap, the 4 stages of food processing are ingestion, digestion, absorption, and elimination. And these functions happen at various locations throughout the human digestive system. So what do we actually get from our food? We'll talk about that in our next video.